I happen to be making this visit with you in what is Valentine's Day week. In a week like this, one almost inevitably begins to think about sentimental things. And for some reason or another this week, I was thinking about a practice from long ago. I remember that when anybody was in love with or thought they were in love with someone else and would write them a letter long before the world and days, of course, of email and that sort of thing, they would always put across the envelope SWAK. That meant sealed with a kiss. That was a romantic thing to do in that long ago world. I don't know whether anybody in the world does anything like that today, but when I thought back upon it, I thought it was a pleasant, beautiful thing for somebody to do. I suspect that about 95% of the romances that were marked by that kind of symbol never came to any fruition, but the idea was pleasant just the same. The Apostle Paul did something like that. He would end his letters almost inevitably with a long list of greetings, and he used affectionate terms in those greetings. In one of them he says that they should greet one another with a holy kiss. In others he would refer to someone as his brother in the faith or his sister in the faith or his mother. All of these people that were dear to him, he would refer to by those names from family life to indicate how much they meant to him. Paul was a sentimental person, no doubt about that. And when he would come to the end of a letter, he wanted to show that sentiment by expressing himself with that kind of devoted expression. In other words, he was doing his own kind of sealed with a kiss. I don't suppose I'll ever get around to writing that across the back of an envelope that I write. Maybe I'm too old for that. Maybe I'm also acknowledging the fact that nobody would know what it meant in our day. But I've begun to think this week that it might not be a bad idea when one seals an envelope to put a kiss over the ceiling, to say, I send this with love. I think about it on the one hand, when I remember some occasions in my life, I regret to say, when I wrote an angry letter, a letter reprimanding someone, a letter objecting to the service I'd gotten from some business or from something or other that upset me. Not often were they purely personal letters. They were letters that nevertheless reflected my unhappiness about something. I think it might have been good for me if in such an instance I had known that I was going to have to kiss the envelope before sending it off. Maybe I would have written a different kind of letter. Maybe I would have said to myself, as I prepared to kiss the envelope, I can't kiss this. It's a lie. I'm not sealing this with a kiss. How can I seal this anger with a kiss? There's an old rule, you know, that if you're upset, you shouldn't write a letter or you shouldn't mail it. You should perhaps write it and then leave it for a day before mailing it, and after you wait for a day, you may not mail it. Incidentally, email has destroyed all of that. That's one of the bad things I suspect about that immediate mailing process of email, is that I'm sure there are a lot more letters sent out these days for which there are later regrets because there wasn't time to think about it one step more and decide in that extra step that the letter wasn't really worth sending, or that it would be much better not sent. The Apostle Paul wrote one letter like that, his letter to the Galatians. He showed his anger in that one by the fact that he thrust himself right into the letter without his usual warm greetings. But he was doing some business that called for some earnestness and passion to let the people know how badly they needed to change their ways and to think what they were doing. But I find that very few letters that I've written, of which I later repented, were of that category. And even when they have been letters that were proper in their reprimand, I could have written them more lovingly. It would have been better if I had. So I'm going to give thought to this in days to come. I want to bring myself to the place where whatever letter I send, I can plant a kiss on the envelope before I send it. Seal it with a kiss. Let my heart grow with the letter I'm sending, with a prayer that it will bless the person who receives it. Amen.